You know, in the crypto world right now, it feels like rockets are launching left and right. But one of the biggest names out there, Cardano, seems kind of stuck on the launch pad. So what gives? Well, our analysis shows there isn't just one answer, but two very, very different scripts for what could happen next.
So let's just get right into it. The big question for anyone holding or watching Cardano is pretty simple. Is it actually falling behind for good, or is it quietly coiling up for something absolutely massive? Let's dig in and find out.
Okay, first, let's be really clear about the dilemma here. I mean, if you're watching the markets, you've seen giants like Ethereum just hitting these incredible new highs. And then you look over at Cardano, and it feels like it's just sitting on the sidelines. What is going on?
I mean, the numbers really paint a stark picture, don't they? While a market leader like Ethereum is out there smashing its all-time high, Cardano is still down a staggering 72% from its own peak. And that painful gap is exactly why we're digging into this today.
But here's where it gets really, really interesting. This isn't some new, scary story. In fact, we've seen this exact situation play out before. The key to Cardano's future might just be a clear echo from its past. Let's jump in a time machine and rewind to early 2021. The market was absolutely on fire, and Ethereum had just smashed right through its old 2018 record. It was a huge, huge moment for the entire crypto space.
And that brings us to the million-dollar question, right? As Ethereum was celebrating that brand new record, where was Cardano? Was it soaring right alongside it? Well, the answer might actually surprise you.
At that exact moment, Cardano was down a whopping 76% from its previous peak. Sound familiar at all? It was lagging behind, looking like it had been left for dead in almost the exact same position it's in today.
And this, right here, is the key. Today's 72% drop isn't some weird anomaly. It's a near-perfect historical repeat. The pattern basically says that when Ethereum breaks its all-time high, Cardano is supposed to be lagging this far behind right before it makes its own big move.
So, this historical parallel gives us our first possible script for the future. Let's call it the explosive repeat. And it's based on a really simple idea. If the setup is identical, then maybe the result will be, too.
So what happened last time, after Cardano was down that 76%? Well, it didn't stay down for long. Not at all. It entered a period of absolutely explosive growth. Let's take a look at the numbers.
So how fast did it move? The entire surge from being the laggard to being a leader took just 220 days. That's it. Just a little over 7 months.
And the gain? Wow. In those 220 days, Cardano didn't just recover. It went nuclear, with a gain of over 800%. It went from being left in the dust to leading the pack, almost overnight.
So, what would that look like today? Well, if that exact same script repeats, an 822% gain from where we are now would send Cardano to a target of $7.62, and it would happen by early next year. That, my friends, is the explosive repeat scenario.
Okay, but what if history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes instead? This leads us to script number 2, the slow burn. This scenario looks at the possibility that this market cycle is just fundamentally different, that it's going to be a lot more drawn out.
And the biggest piece of evidence for this second script actually comes from Bitcoin. The way it's behaved after breaking its own all-time high this cycle has been very different from the last one, and it suggests a market that's moving at a much slower, more deliberate pace. And the difference is pretty dramatic. Last cycle, Bitcoin soared 260% not long after breaking its record. This time around, it's been over 500 days, and we've only seen a much smaller 60% gain. It feels like everything is just moving in slow motion.
So, if Cardano follows this market pace, we wouldn't get that 220-day explosion. Nope. Instead, we'd see a much more gradual climb. The peak might not even show up until the second half of 2026. You gotta think marathon, not a sprint.
All right, so we have 2 plausible scripts. What does this mean for you as an investor? Well, the key isn't to guess which script is correct. The key is to have a clear strategy that works no matter which outcome we get. Let's open up the playbook.
And the strategy for each is completely different. If we get that explosive script, the rally is going to be fast and super volatile, which means having an aggressive profit-taking plan is absolutely crucial. But if it's a slow burn, the steady pace allows you to be more patient, maybe taking profits gradually over a longer period of time.
So what are the big takeaways here? First, Cardano's current lag isn't a bug. It's a feature of its historical pattern. It's normal.
Second, the future is likely to follow one of two scripts, that fast explosion or the slow burn. And finally, the smartest move isn't trying to predict which one it'll be, but just having a solid plan that works for both.
And that leaves us right back where we started, with the final question. We've got the data, we've got the history, and we have the two scripts. Now, the market gets to decide which one Cardano is actually going to follow.